All right. What's up, Craig?
Howdy. We're still here.
We are still here. So we are just jamming Tuesday night, just kind of talking about crypto, talking about some of the things that we're working on. And I'm super excited about that event listener that we're working on. And I think there's some cool stuff we could do with it.
And I'm excited to talk about how crypto has sort of imploded.
Yeah.
But wait, haven't.
Jesus. What a time to be alive right now. It is crazy. I wonder if it feels like in the early 1930s or late 1920s when like the Great Depression started and everyone was like scamming everyone and there was no regulations with like the equities markets and stuff like that.
I mean, we still have pets.com. Like that's a meme for a reason. We went through it, not 1930s. We went through it 2000,
It's true.
1990s.
Yeah, you're right. It's like
People
human
will always
behavior.
scam. Anyone to expect otherwise is just naive.
Yeah. I can't believe that dude was handing out pamphlets at these conferences saying zero risk.
And if you look at it, if you look back at some of those tweets and some of the pamphlets, like it's misspelled, right? Like it's just straight up amateur hour, and it everything spoke of like the BitConnect guy.
That just amazes me, man. I mean, I feel like we work on stuff all the time, and we're always like we're always like, oh no, it's not ready. We can't release this. We can't do that. It's got to be better. It's no, we're not ready. Everyone's better than us. Blah blah blah. And then these guys come out and they just don't give a shit. How does that work? I don't. I mean, I don't. Like I see all the conspiracy theories of like there's a pedigree of people like they came down not up, right? Like their parents were all highly connected and all this shit, and like there's
Well,
probably
just because their parents were all highly connected doesn't mean that they were good people, and doesn't mean that
no.
they were bad people either. They could have just been people that instilled no values whatsoever to this weird little genius.
Yeah, yeah. I get the feeling that people that go through this shit, they almost. I feel this maybe with the Thanos chick too, right? Like they start with the right intentions, right? And they build something, and then they
Yeah.
right, like they just kind of like, oh wait, I'll just do this once, or this will be okay, and then like
I
it
mean,
just
you unpack a lot of the financials and how they got in this situation, and like even the holes that we're hitting now at the bare of the market. Like they could have recovered, and nobody would ever have known if Binance didn't say, if CoinDesk didn't say like, hey, did you know that their balance sheet is made up of like 40% FTT made up token? And then if you really look at it, another like 15% of it is made up of made up coins.
yeah.
And then that news broke, and then Binance, CZ, goes out and says, you know what? We're going to exit on all of our FTT position, which was like $560 million. And they just couldn't. Once once Binance says, "Hey, we're going to do it. It's going to take us months. It may even take us into over a year to exit, but we're going to start exiting our strategy." And then the I don't even know what to call her, Caroline, the 28-year-old trader that literally sank the entire organization. She said, "Hey, I'm going to take all of your money and I'm going to invest it in banana yield farm." This is what they did: is they just invested into all of these
Yield farming
again
stuff.
yield farm nonsense. It was just whatever stupid thing could they farm now. So
Wow.
she sank the company. But during the whole liquidation process with CZ, she tweeted something like, "Yo, we'll buy all of it from you at $22." Which kind of was the wrong thing to say publicly to the market, because then everyone said, "Is like, yo, if they go under 22, do they get margin called? I better get my money out now." Bank run, bank's over.
Game. The lights came on.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, you look back though at like some of the shit that they were doing. I mean, the truth of the matter is like looking at Sam and trying to talk about whether or not he was a good or a bad person is really, really hard, because he could be an altruistic person. However, dude was on fucking drugs, right? Like he was on just straight up, amphetamines. He was taking a prescription medicine for people on Parkinson's. It was just straight amphetamines to help you focus.
Yeah.
Dude was hopped up on amphetamines, sleeping in the office, and like, like the side effects of that drug were like clinically studied as having irresponsible gambling habits, or like just awful shit.
Yeah. I mean, I get the feeling though that like we put these people up on these pedestals almost like they're gods, like these like
Because it's easy. I don't
right.
need. I didn't even know. I know I've seen Sam Bankman, right? Like I know it. He's the biggest fucking thing. You
Yeah.
and I spend. I don't know about you, but every day, if I'm not in my day job, then even during my day job, I'm thinking about something crypto.
Right. Yeah.
So daily for the past 5 years, we work in blockchain. I don't really know. I wouldn't really even recognize Sam if he walked past me. I know that if I look back at his tweets and his things and his whatever, I go, oh yeah, that set off my bullshit detector. I knew that's why I stayed away from.
Yeah, but I feel like the psychology, just people in general, the psychology of an individual that gets put up to that level, that they're told constantly they're a genius, and they probably are very extremely intelligent. They can make money. They figured out how to arbitrage, all this stuff. They start to believe that they are actually what people are telling them that they are, and they have to live up to that expectation. So that
Yep,
could compound things like taking performance drugs to be like, I need to keep going, I need to keep going because I'm a genius, I need to keep going. And then
yep,
and then you get to the point where you're like, it's okay if I borrow customer funds to bail this out because I know I can trade out of this because you know why? I'm a genius. And
good.
I can get out of this.
Yep.
Right? Like and
Well, well, I mean, they were backed up against the wall. I mean,
yeah, and that was the only
they
out, I
made a
guess.
call. They made a call. It
Yeah,
was a fucking bad
it
one.
was bad. And
But
I feel like that same mentality is happening with Twitter with Elon Musk, right? Like
I don't want
that
to go there.
you don't want to
I
go,
don't want to go there because
but
that hasn't fallen apart. This
right,
has.
yeah, this is definitely falling apart. Twitter may not fail, but
I
like
mean, I mean, it was definitely just a roll up and critical point. You look back at the history of their investments and the things that they were doing. And like truly, like most of their investments, there's a coin I forget what Serum, Serum. It's a Solana based coin.
mhm,
And I was reading about one of the developers who helped create that coin, who says, I don't even know what it does, but we hold 70% of it. We open to the market like 30% of it. It created a market. And then we borrowed billions of dollars because we were now holding on 70% of that fake Serum coin, which had a market cap of $400 million. So then random bank's going to give me $20 million because I'm holding it, even
yeah,
though it doesn't fucking do anything.
yeah, that's amazing. And I think we see that. I mean, we're talking about. I feel like two different demographics, right? We're builders. We're building things. We see the technology for a lot of different ways has a lot of potential, right? To have these public permissionless blockchains and everything we can build with it. But we're also learning a ton about how just investment banking works, it just finance game in general, right? These demographics are all finance guys, right? They're making money.
I like how we just talked about straight up fraud and you compared it to how investment banking works.
But like how do you work, like that's what it's about, right? Like you got to figure out. I can't see how you're always walking that line in that game, right? I cannot.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I worked at a bank for a long time. So,
But how are you not?
money
Because
is,
you can't just be like, okay, this is boring. I put money in a bank and we only make like, I mean, even to take it to a level where it's not reserve based banking,
they
where
were
they
offering 15% yield, no risk. Ta-da, no risk. And
yeah,
apparently they had asset value of only $5 million, but they had market maker fund trading of like hundreds of millions of dollars because you don't actually need that equity in the assets to be a market maker. You just have to have people that'll put money on both sides of the house and say, I'll get you yield.
Yeah, I don't really particularly understand how all that works. The whole market making thing is
Market
like,
makers are just, we will give you money. You will sell at the right time that gets me the maximum yield. You will buy at the right time that gets me the maximum yield. You have free cash flow to be doing that actively throughout the day. I mean, it's really not far off from wash trading, which apparently FTX sort of was doing like a lot.
but you don't want to wash trade as a market maker because you're doing market making to make money,
No,
right?
you're competing against the other market makers, but you know, they're to us, they're the same people. You know, they're the same thing. One market maker, the other maker. I don't care if this one made a little bit of yield or that one made a little bit of yield, and it's just
And then what?
multiple pieces of
Regular
the egg.
retail investors are just kind of in that flow. Like it creates the liquidity for us to be able to participate in a market.
Correct.
That's interesting.
And I mean, those market makers all have that's the agreements that they have.
Hmm.
They contract it out with the exchange and says we'll be your market maker.
So if we correlate that to distributed like dexes like Uniswap, so use an example like say we
Yeah,
created a coin, but if we created a coin out of thin air, a market and we provide liquidity on both sides. Say we put 10 ETH in behind a coin, that's not market making, right? Because we're not trading. We're just providing
no, but we
liquidity.
could give 5 ETH to two different players and ask them, hey, trade against each other.
Compete type of thing. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And that
More
happen that happens in
more
regular
people,
market.
like then you'll get another 5 ETH in there and get a third guy in there. I'm like, oh, I upped the game.
Yeah, wow. I have it's weird. I have a weird mental model with this whole game. To me, it feels very like I could see how people can make a shit ton of money doing this and they become extremely wealthy. But like
But they
once,
have a shit ton of money, and that's why they're going after these percentages of yields. Like, I only need 6% on
a couple hundred million, and it's good. Yeah, wow. That is
but either way, Alameda or FTX, they didn't have it. It was just market makers and everybody else's money that had all the money.
yeah.
And then as customers kept investing into it, apparently they were using that money to plug holes, farming cucumber coin.
Man, that cucumber, if it would have mooned, man.
I mean, some of the shit that oh man, some of the shit that you read through, like the employee logs and the historical tweets of like this all happened before our eyes. There have been plenty of people that have seen enough of this and said, yo, that ain't cool. Everyone, pay attention. Not cool. But as you said, we put them on this pedestal and they're like, whatever.
Yeah, they're geniuses. They're smarter than us. We can trust them and
Well, because you're not, like I'm not going to pay attention to that guy calling, screen falling when I got everyone saying that he's a genius.
right. Oh man, we
But
still
again, it's
yeah.
hard because every time I ever read anything from him, I was like, this guy seems weird. I don't trust him. There's nothing good other than the things that he says he's doing. It's like, oh, I believe in this, and this altruism, but like never really spoke of much of like personal philosophical belief of activities. Like the things he did was just surface
Yeah.
nonsense marketing.
I don't know if I mean I know I saw a couple pictures of him like sitting next to Bill Clinton and like it looks like he just rolled out of bed and he's going to be
Yeah,
the president. like I,
yeah. I mean, who knows how connected he is? That's what they're all saying now. It's just like he was literally. So this is what I think is hysterical. So I don't know if you've noticed this about crypto Twitter, but they are very red state Republican, right? Like
mm.
everybody around them is like, screw Joe Biden,
Oh
crypto,
really? I haven't really noticed that. No.
which is really hysterical considering they all invested into FTX. Sam Bankman Fried then stole it and invested it into Joe Biden's campaign.
Yeah, second largest donor. But you know what I learned today too is that his partner was a heavy Republican donor.
Who? Which one?
I don't know his name off the top of my head, but there was an infographic I saw today that it was like a flow thing where it showed you the funds coming in and who they donated to, and it was a fair amount of money going out um, to the Republican Party as well.
I will look into that as well. Oh, that'll be tomorrow's storylines.
Yeah, I shared it.
Today it was all about all the just absolutely bonkers shit that they were doing. And then if you go look at like some of the tweets from the COO at the time, who, by the way, his name Sam Alcouster. What was it? Alcouster. I mean, he just tweets crazy shit. But at the point in which they chose to invest customer funds, he resigned.
Oh, so he was like, "This is not right. I'm out of here."
He said, "I don't know if he said this is not right. I think he said, I don't want nothing to do with it.
I don't want to go to jail, so I'm out." This is the article. I actually can't access it now. It's a Financial Times article. I looked at it already, and I guess that was my one free article. I just put it in the chat.
Yeah, I have all my research on my other machine that I can't access right now. But I'll pull some of it up and post it. If we're going to post this to YouTube, I'll throw it into our YouTube chat notes.
Yeah. Cool. So, I think this whole topic, we debate about this a lot. There's two things, right? There's everyone's talking about it, better regulation in the industry, right? Like, and there's probably so many different ideas. It seems like this guy was also a big activist that sat up on the hill and tried to preach for regulation.
3 days before the whole company crashed, he was on the hill.
Dude, that was 3 days before this happened? What the heck? What?
let's not go back that yet.
Yeah. But I don't know. So I had an idea, and this is probably way too simplistic, but like, if we're talking about asset managers that are taking custody of customer funds, and and they're keeping it on public permissionless chains. So let's make that assumption, right? Is there maybe a regulatory framework that would say, hey, you have to tag and label the addresses that are handling customer funds in a particular way so that governments can know that the money's there and the whole public can see it. So like, because I get the feeling that there are smarter analyzers of the chain than governments, right? And I think we're seeing some of this where they're tracing different accounts and like how.
But you're going far into a future of assuming that we're in actual financial, like real financial stuff on chain. Aren't you skipping the debate of like how we have that regulation to even? Is that a world?
I'm hoping it becomes like.
Well, obviously, but like
I'm thinking literally just, and that's why I said it's probably too simplistic. But a labeling system, like the government puts out a labeling system, a standard for labeling.
Yeah.
And like, and we could even take it a step further, which I don't think would be popular, and I'm not sure this makes any sense. But like, these could be smart contracts where the government actually has some level of access or something.
Well, you're talking about like, ZK Snarks, the zero knowledge proof system where like you can have composable truths of, well, you don't need to know I'm over 18. You just need to see this flag that's authenticated by XYZ that I am over 18. So ta-da, pay, let me buy whatever the hell.
If that works, I mean, I get the feeling though that all these technologies can be, they're double-edged swords, right? Like when I think of these zero knowledge proofs, I'm thinking like I can hide what I'm doing, but I could prove that it happened. So is that going to enable fraudsters,
I mean,
or
that's one way to look at it, but the other way to look at it is, I'm enabling you to see only what you need to see. I mean, it's why aren't I entitled to privacy? I think it's absolutely bonkers that you and I have access to knowing when Snoop Dogg makes a trade on Ethereum before Snoop Dogg gets the confirmation.
yeah, you're right. That is, a lot of people are not going to like that. I don't think a lot of people even realize that are using these chains right now. Like I can literally look in your wallet, dog. But
Right? Like every stupid NFT you've bought, it's that one, it's that one, it's that one, it's that one. Right? Like,
but when we're talking about people that take custody of customer funds, should that be public?
why are they so because I am signing it over. So why do you need to do that? If you are in a crypto world, why aren't the funds in my wallet, and why aren't I just approving you to do things with them? I'm
Well,
giving you access. And the fact that you make the trade is on the blockchain. I don't need you to flag it. That's your wallet that made the trade on my account because I approved.
yeah, I see what you're saying. So it's more like your funds are in smart contracts like ERC20 tokens and things like that. Then you just do approves on the exchanges. But then, yeah, I get. But now the user's empowered. Now that they say, hey, I'm
Isn't
letting you
that what this
trade.
is all about?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. But I think that goes back to the distinction of these two different demographics. You've got these investment folks.
Listen, if you can't get past the assumption that we will solve wallet interfacing, then we'll never get anywhere.
Yeah, we have to. You're right.
I don't know the answer to getting beyond the actual UI UX of signing transactions. I know it's X period off, but I know that we'll achieve it. I mean, we have, that's not, we've thrown shitty experiences at Web 2 to solve that problem. I deal with that on a daily basis of like, how do we know that person is that person?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
So if we, because I believe in this, the core concept of like, I should be able to enable my advisor only to access XYZ as explicitly agreed in the contract. And then when he makes the trades, it's public knowledge. Like, I believe that future is inevitable. Like,
So
it's
what?
a
But what
the
type
level
of?
of communication that this world
But I feel like
tries to replicate.
we're talking in very like we understand how these networks work, how smart contracts work, and things. How is the government now after this issue? How is he? How is
But
Sam?
now you want to go back to how do we get there?
Well, yeah, but how? But how do you think the government's going to go? Because I don't think the government's going to say what you just said. They're not going to be like, we need wallet interfacing that makes sense that protects investors. They're going to look at it from a traditional banking.
Painfully, Sam fucked us. I mean, we have so many different avenues to go at. I think like one avenue is like the ETF and going at it from the financial market perspective of like, how do we make money on it? Like, that's not fun for me and you as developers.
Right.
But that's one huge critical aspect of gaining adoption. Kevin O'Leary, that's all he's about. All he wants is the regulation so that he can make it a marketable, like
Right.
trading investment,
Right.
which is totally not what you and I are at here for.
No.
What you and I are at here for is like, hey, we think the internet really should have been built this way.
Yeah. We want to build products. Like, yeah, it's yeah. We want to build useful things. I'm not.
So the regulation, that functionality of the things that you and I are trying to build, the blockchain, public or private, you see what's going on. It's just blockchain as a concept, and the patents and the all the organizations that have developed against it. Like the technology is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and we just have to keep extracting it. And I believe that it will extract to that decentralized layer, which is where it was built in the first place, but it has value on the centralized layers as well.
Yeah.
right?
I think it feels like it's going to
Can't
be
stop this tech, is what I was saying,
no,
right?
and that's a great point. You know, throughout all this stuff, has any of these networks, the Bitcoin network, the Ethereum network, has there been any effect in the functionality of the networks?
No,
No, right? They're
dude, the merge is the most miraculous thing I've ever seen in in computer development, right?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, we're cooking on our node. Our node's still every 11 seconds, blocks coming in, right? Like, and there's transactions in them. That's a key point. If there's no
if we,
transactions in
I
them,
mean, listen, maybe I'm just like riding that high and like waiting to fall into the pit trap. But if we can accomplish that, I mean, these
but
from a
I think there's
technical
a
computer standpoint, we can accomplish almost anything.
right, but I think there's a hybrid here, and I think that's where the regulatory bodies eventually need to catch up to. But I don't see that for a long time.
Me
Like for
neither. So,
like,
which regulation do we need first? I mean,
well, I'm thinking like banks. Like we're not, you know, we're running our own nodes, right? The every I know Vitalik was mentioning that we're going to get to the point where you're going to be running them on your phones, and maybe that's the future, and that's he's right. He probably is, but like
well, that's also in a future where we are using ZK snarks to only prove, these composable truths,
yeah, yeah.
where
But
you
like
only need tiny, tiny, tiny pieces of the processing power to say, like, yep, X is X. It says so.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That kind of blows out the idea I was just going to have. I mean, maybe the regulations around banks, because banks maybe will be operators of nodes, but if we continuously, and that's usually the case with technology, right? It gets more and more efficient over time, and like it won't be this huge compute resource. We kind of just did that with the proof of stake crossover. So
Yeah. I mean, some of the zero knowledge to the ZK technology coming out in the next years, they swear they have their prover ready to deploy on home desktop machines, right? The whole concept of like we took the entire Ethereum, the EVM, have compiled all the complexities into these concepts of provers, and you know we can condense it into running on your graphics card so that you can be validating all of these possible scenarios of proving a transaction on the Ethereum chain from your private node. It's like, oh, you can prove this, you can prove this, now you can submit it, which is just shocking. Like that's going to be a tremendous 10x of like what we do in blockchain.
yeah, yeah, I'm still excited big time about it. I mean, I love these periods of time though, because you get all your friends that are like have been telling you for years. There's nothing here,
I
man.
haven't even gotten one of those yet.
You haven't gotten one yet? Oh, I've gotten a couple.
No, I mean, people just I don't talk to too many people at work about too much blockchain shit, but I
I
haven't
got family members texting me being like crypto boy. So I'm like, ah man.
like uh, I'm sorry. I don't know. So here, like to you and me, like we didn't store our funds in FTX. We wouldn't put our funds in central exchanges. We've learned that lesson of like, well,
Yeah.
like we're not looking at it from an investment perspective.
Right.
Right. So for people to come and crash on us now of like, ha ha ha, the biggest investment jackass in the world turned out to be a jackass. And they're like, well, we weren't here for investment.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
And that's yeah.
Like that's like, coming in and jumping on you when your Theranos stock crashes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But that's crazy. But I am excited about this event and listener piece that we just finished that YouTube series on building that, and we'll see where that goes. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we're gonna do with that in the near future. Working on this Twitter bot soon.
It's live soon.
Hell yeah.
Cheers.
All right, man. So let's why don't we cut it here? We're gonna probably throw this on YouTube. We're gonna throw it in the mountain of other people talking about this topic, and this is our 2 cents kind of going into it. And
we everyone says we'll recover. We absolutely will recover. Everyone says we went back years. Like this will set us back years. These will set us back years. Of like, I mean, a lot of people lost a lot of money, and that sucks. But people have been losing a crap ton of money in this market ever since the Luna crash.
Yep. Yep. And that
But
was really the catalyst for this whole thing, right? He was involved with that big
it
time.
was, but from a regulation standpoint, like how can you say it set us back years? It's not like we had any in the first place,
Yeah.
right? This sets us back years. Like, oh no, we're gonna be exactly where we are now. I don't know that it
Do you
set us
think
back.
our government's gonna actually do anything? Like we're post
Do
election now.
anything to violently attack back? Maybe. I
Pass
mean, this
legislation,
guy Sam made them look like asses. Like,
but were
you
they
know, he was
working towards some
on
type of
Capitol
legislation?
Hill talking about how important regulation is. Meanwhile, he was like 3 hours later stealing people's funds, doing the exact same shit he was telling people FTX would never do. Never do. And like he made them look like idiots. Anyone that ever supported him in any way made him look like an idiot.
But do you think it's
Will
gonna
they ever get ahead
make
of
our government rush legislation and get it through to be like, you know what, we're regulating the shit out of this now?
vengeance doesn't usually think things through.
Yeah.
I don't know, if that happens, then he will have set us back. If that happens, if they come at us hard, but I mean, if they don't, if we get regulation out of this that's workable, I mean, like, I guess
Yeah.
he didn't set us back. He
Yeah.
just
I mean, I
stole,
think I think we'd
ruined a
be.
lot of people's lives.
Yeah, and I pray for those people. That really stinks. It is probably and all these. This is like Enron shit, man. Like all the employees
I
are
feel
invested.
so bad. All of them, all the employees, like, this is FTX US. Like, there were, I was applying for crypto jobs at a time. Like, I could go work in that job. I could really make that jump.
Yeah.
That would have been a company I'd say, yeah, I'll take a look at working for them. My just what in one day I'm going to work, and one day I'm just ta-da.
Yeah, and I'm
Oh,
sure. I
not
wish.
only that, but every piece of severance that pension that you've ever earned, the paycheck that I still owe you.
Yeah, it's Fugazi.
People, the people that were like loaded, but keeping all of their shit on the exchange because it's their exchange.
No more
God,
loading.
let me put in a claim.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be years. They're gonna. I'm. It's.
But not only is it going to be years, but everything that they're putting a claim on, like you saw that tweet, the back end exchange, everything that they still actually had got hacked and stolen. There's nothing to claim left.
Yeah. You think that's employees being like they're still
Oh,
validating shit?
100%. I think that's Sam. He had a backdoor into his own exchange to have express API access. Like he cheated the system every single
Yeah,
possible
right.
way.
He had a fast access to customer funds through his Alameda research for. Oh my god, dude.
He had, and he still has backdoor access to everything that's going on. And there are tweets, when there was a big ass withdrawal after all the news broke, they said, "Oh, that's because under Bahama regulation, we have to enable withdrawals." And Bahamian government said, "Yo, that ain't true. I don't know what he's talking about." And then there's employee messages that have Sam directly saying, like, talking about how they're getting access to these funds and using Bahama government as a guise.
Oh
Like,
man.
yo, nefarious all the way through.
Yeah. It's pinky
Now,
shit.
all the nefarious, dumb shit that he's doing, I mean, he may have been a good person at one time, but once you take the wrong fucking pill, which is why I said I think he was a drug addict, right? Like
Yeah.
he was on drugs he shouldn't have been on.
Yeah. And the
Habitually.
country
They,
they're
they
trying to get
they
to.
continually talked about how they were on, like they would just take amphetamines and then go trade. He
Yeah.
was their superpower.
Yeah. Limitless shit, like the movie Limitless. They
Like the
thought they were
movie,
gods.
they thought that they were on in the movie Limitless.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie that's going to come out of this shit one day. Because you
Right.
think about it, right? Like Hollywood today, be like, "Yo, I ain't touching that shit."
Right. Yeah.
But but we're all by now, the people that are in crypto, they've been here for like 3, 4, 5. We're here 5. Eventually these people will start making their own movies.
Brad Pitt playing SPF, man. Oh,
I think the kid from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, that would work. That would
Yeah.
work. All right, man. Well, good talk tonight.
Video. Thanks to the Long Island blockchain, Sam.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We're having a meetup soon. If you got this far, you rock. Thank you.